Weather played its part in Brisbane. Weather is expected to play a part in Sydney. Could Melbourne and Boxing Day then become a decider in this border Gavaskar trophy? Welcome to ESPN Cricket for Match Day. Sanjay Manjrekar joins us to build up to the fourth test after a bit of a break. Welcome back, Sanjay. Not like
Thank you.
it's any less a spectacle, a Boxing Day test in front of a packed MCG. The stakes are just that much higher given where the series is.
Yeah, interesting because of what happened in the last test match because of the weather. Um, you know, the series is very much alive, and I'm hoping that the Australian batters are kind to Indian fans. And if one of their key players, Travis Head, doesn't make it to the playing 11, it just brings a little more interest in this match. Although I must say that Australia start off with lesser problems in their playing 11 than India.
Yeah, I mean, some are calling this the Bumrah head trophy, given the way things have been for both the sides. But let's get into those Indian problems because as much as India celebrated saving the follow-on on towards the end of the Gabba test, it does show how far behind they were in that game and have been in the series for large parts. What do India need to have learned going into these last two tests?
I'm not sure India are making mistakes. I don't think there is one solution to how India is looking as a test team right now. I think it's something where you need some tweak in the basic ability and basic form, and that's where I think India is clearly struggling. Batters with experience are not quite delivering. Youngsters who are always going to find it tough in Australia. Yashasvi Jaiswal had that one inning, but after that, nothing much. Shubman Gill, Rishabh Pant has been a bit of a surprise. So there are issues of form, and each individual batter has their own problems why they're not getting consistency. Virat Kohli as well. On the bowling front, I think along with batting, the bowling also the quality seems to have slipped a little bit, and I want India to address that aspect more because batting they'll have to maybe rely on the same personnel, but they can maybe change the look of the bowling attack with selection.
Now, balancing this 11 has been the subject of much discourse. Have India almost pushed themselves to a point of no return because you feel like you need the batting depth given the form of the batters, and yet you're quite unlikely to win test matches with three out and out bowlers.
Well, you have me to give solutions. That is why you guys had me. So at number 7, play Jadeja as a batting all rounder. And Jadeja's batting in the last test, the way he batted, he actually looked one of India's best batters so far in the series. Just the way it's not about getting runs, just how he started off. He had a typical test match fashion, took his time. So clearly at this stage in Australian conditions, if India look at Jadeja as the batting all rounder, I guess then the balance is changed. So you'll have him batting at number 7, and that's pretty good depth to have. And then you can pick your 4 bowlers, whether it's 3 seamers or one more spinner or 4 out and out genuine seam bowlers or bowlers. And then you have Jadeja as the 5th bowling option. There's your solution.
Okay, but then two parts to your solution. That means removing Nitish Kumar Reddy. On the basis of what you've seen in the first three tests, he was among India's higher scorers in the first two tests. Is that a fair call?
See, there is no doubting the potential this guy has and how brilliantly he's played. But can we get 120 from somebody who bats at number 8? And it's clearly not at this stage a bowler will get you a 7 wicket haul like a Shardul Thakur who did. And let's not forget the last 2 series wins, yes, that India had in Australia. They didn't have somebody like a Nitish Kumar Reddy. So at the moment, Nitish Kumar Reddy helps you, recover from a bad start. He bats at number 8, gets you 40. But is he at this stage good enough to be pushed up the order and played as a pure batter and drop somebody out of form? And then you can get a specialist bowler. His bowling at this stage is not good enough for him to play as a bowling all-rounder. And maybe batting, it's a bit too early to think of him as a batting all-rounder. Jadeja, we're thinking of him as a batting all-rounder. And again, I said that in the last dispatch that we did, that his first class average is 22. So clearly a man who has exciting potential, but is he actually adding value the way India want? India want more batting runs from their batters because few are in form. Can they get 120 from a Nitish Kumar Reddy? And they also need bowling support. Can he get a 5 or 6 wicket haul? But if you play a pure specialist bowler, there's always a chance. And when you get a batter who has a pedigree of, first class average of 40, 50 plus, there's always hope for them to, get a big score.
Okay, so who is the replacement then for you? Are you looking at a spinner in Washington Sundar or a pacer? And if it is a pacer, is it Harshit Rana or Prasidh Krishna?
Depends completely on the surface. If there's some inkling that there's going to be lots there for the spinners. And that is the interesting thing. When you look at Jadeja as a batting all-rounder, you've got Jadeja, if suddenly the pitch changes and there's a lot of turn, and Jadeja is very good at exploiting a dry, very helpful pitch. And if they need two spinner, then Washington Sundar just walks in. If not, I'll still go back to Harshit Rana because I would have stuck with Harshit Rana in the last test as well. So then you have enough quality and numbers as well with your bowlers, and that for me is the better balance. You've got to have specialist players in your team, and any team over the years that has ruled Test cricket, you'll see they didn't have a player who wasn't quite a batter and not quite a bowler yet. So that is where Nitish Kumar Reddy doesn't fit in my plan, despite him showing some serious talent. India have to take that hard call.
Mm. Speaking of speaking of teams who have dominated Test cricket, they also lean on their legends to shine. So let's go back to those two. Rohit Sharma, of course, in his press conference was asked about himself, about Virat Kohli. What he had to say was modern day greats figure out their own path. Where do you stand on that? And more broadly, the eyeballs won't go. The challenge isn't going to get any easier. Do you see any difference in the outcome?
Actually, that's a flawed statement, and he has to say it. Let's understand a captain cannot be going out there and putting further pressure on the batter. So he has said that thing that he has to say in a press conference, but obviously from deep within, cricketers think differently. I was part of that system as well. We couldn't actually speak our minds. But that's not true, where a modern day great will find his own way out. If that was the case, he would have found his way out. And that is why I'm no more focusing on Virat Kohli's problem, but more on the guy who's supposed to solve those problems. And that's the batting coach. And if he can't, address these chronic problems that some of our batters have had, and these are mostly technical batters, temperamentally, or if there is a mental issue, that's a slightly more difficult thing to resolve. But technical issues, if he has no input or if he can't make a difference, you've got to start looking at the role of the batting coach. So it is, I think, pretty obvious for everyone that Virat Kohli needs outside help because he on his own has not been able to solve that technical problem of his.
Loved what you said about cricketers not being able to speak their minds when they want to. They come here. So let me get your thoughts on Australia before we wrap this. They have a change of their own, and in fact, it will be a debutant opener in Sam Konstas, 19-year-old, and now he gets a Test debut, Sanjay, in a Boxing Day Test in front of potentially 90,000 people with Jasprit Bumrah to face first up. Doesn't get tougher.
No, it's going to be really tough. I've not really seen him, from close quarters. And I must say, Nathan McSweeney, I was surprised that he was dropped. I can see the logic behind it because they looked at his overall scores and imagined him in another test, whether he has that potential to get a big 100. But I love the way he crafted in that first innings. I think that was a crucial partnership with Labuschagne. And I love the statement as well when he said, I'm devastated, but I can understand it. And it's nice that Australia allows their players to react in that fashion. I would have continued with him. But yes, for the young 19-year-old, it's going to be tough, but we'll see, what he does. Because there's one good way to look at this whole bowling attack is just see Bumrah out, and maybe the others he'll be able to manage, not easily, but try and watch Bumrah as much as you can from the non-strikers end.
Unfortunately for Konstas, his opening partner and the rest of the Australian top order will tell him that that bit of just seeing Bumrah off is not really working out for anyone in the world right now. There will be one more change for Australia, Scott Boland for Josh Hazelwood. What can India do to counter him? Because he is a bowler who's made his dent on India in the two tests he's played, WTC final as well as the pink ball test.
Yeah, this is where I feel he's slightly more troublesome for India than Josh Hazelwood as well. Because Josh Hazelwood's length is much fuller, bowls in the channel. Boland is slightly shorter in length and gets a little more bounce. But the shorter length actually troubles the Indian batters even more because a lot of those batters we see, Virat Kohli is actually leading that particular approach where they're very keen to get onto the front foot. Rishabh Pant is also doing that. Rohit Sharma one step forward, but they are all trying to get onto the front foot. So bowler's natural length is a little more difficult to play than somebody like a Josh Hazelwood.
All right, we leave it there. It's the last test of a year, which among the many things it's taught us, one is nothing can be called in this great game. So no predictions, nothing else to ask. Look forward to
Yeah,
it.
more so in these times, in our times, it was much easier to predict. Like West Indies when they went to England, it was easy to predict 5-0. West Indies will win, not anymore.
Yes, it's been a fascinating year. Let's see how it wraps up. We look forward to your company, Sanjay, through the Boxing Day test. Thank you so much.